Welcome back now. If you're just joining us, you're still on to the press, coming to you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN TV. Right about now, we are on to the segment where we'll be doing the analysis to some of the headlines we have just read to you before the break. And joining us to do justice to the analysis, we have Joshua Imarayi, a media consultant. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome to the studio.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, quite a lot has been happening, and most importantly, the EU, the European Union's report on the just concluded 2023 elections, where they have reported that the election, it says the report shows election lacks credibility. This is coming from the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, and according to the Labour Party, they say they have supported the EU's report on the polls. On the side, the presidency have vehemently refuted, have vehemently countered these claims and any other claims of malpractices in the election. What are your thoughts on the whole reports and counter and non-counter issues?
Firstly, I must state that the EU, like others, observers too, who came to observe the electoral process of Nigeria, and they observing only tell stories and tales and reports of what they saw and how the entire process went. Now, one thing we must know that as Nigerians is that no political party would say things concerning this EU's report that is not in favor to their entire ambition during the electoral process. We must know that whatever party comes out to say a particular thing concerning EU's report of how the election was marked by violence and whatever, we all saw these things happening, but according to the INEC, the electoral body, the INEC said it held a peaceful, credible election. That they promised us that they were going to give us a peaceful, credible election. And you don't expect that out of this entire process of electing a leader, that Nigeria will come out to say, out of the whole billions of naira we spent for this electoral process, we didn't see a leader emerging. You don't expect a sovereign nation to come out to tell you that. A winner must emerge, whether you like it or not. Right from history.
Definitely, a winner must emerge.
Yes.
But by what means? The means is what we are talking about here now, because according to the federal government, say unlike the Nigerian Bar Association that had over 1,000 observers that across the country, the European Union had little over 50 observers, meaning their reports could have been from, say, a particular environment, because definitely we have over 176,000 polling units. I think at some point we should be getting more information as regards how they were able to come up with their conclusions, that the election was not credible enough.
One thing we need to know that is we as Nigerians, as well-meaning Nigerians, some parties observed. A number of parties observed. We have a number of internal observers, aside the EU, all these international observers. Now, they've put their data forward that this is how it is. The only part of this entire process that is raising brows is the use of the, what is it called? The
beavers?
The beavers, basically. The beavers and the IRF. That is the only thing in contention now, basically, because according to what we saw, we understood that violence did not occur in only one part of the country, occurred in other parts. And the thing is, how far did they report this violence? Who reported them? While the EU is citing a part of this country that we had violence here, we had election malpractice here and the likes, what happened to other parts of the country? Are you trying to pay blind eyes to them? Now, I am not in any way trying to say that EU's report is not valid, but we need to question anything that comes in and goes out, because Nigeria is a sovereign country that even across international borders, everyone has a stake to play, whether you like it or not. These persons have stakes to play here, and they have desires to achieve. They have goals, objectives that they want to achieve, whether you like it or not. The EU is just like any other bloc that any country will belong to. And trust me, while these countries are belonging to this particular bloc, they have aims, objectives to achieve. Now, whether you like it or not, humans are behind the EU. And whatever decision they make is to whether it favors them or not. Now, this is how I want it to be. Let the EU bring all of the evidence gathered, present it to the tribunal that is ongoing now. Then, if it is credible, the tribunal will say that. Because as EU, they cannot determine how...
But do you think the European Union can be a respondent or a complainant in at the tribunal?
They are just observers. And as such, they saw the entire process. Now, they are not Nigerians. They are not suing for anything. They are only putting their observation forward.
Okay.
That is what they are doing.
To what end?
To establish if the process was credible or not. Basically. Now, we are having a series of court cases now, arguing back and forth if the entire process was credible or not. And as such, this report should have been submitted to the INEC, if I'm not mistaken, after the electoral process, that what we did, this was what we saw and what we did not see. But no, the EU does not believe in INEC, because you issuing a statement, putting it forward, that this is what we saw. The question is, we know the presidency is partisan. Let us not dice words. We know it is partisan. Now we should identify non-partisan part and unit of the Nigerian system that such information can be put across to.
All right. Still talking about the EU's report, I think part of what they complained about is the fact that it was not well run, it was not transparent, and it's not inclusive. It did not include democratic process, and the public interest, the public confidence on INEC was well damaged during the election. But INEC is begging to say differently. And most of the party members that actually emerged victorious are actually saying different too. I think I was listening to one of the APC chieftain, I'm not going to mention his name, but he was specifically saying that if this election was not well run, how come sitting governors lost their seats in the Senate? How come there are lots of new persons coming on board if it was actually not well run? And the EU is actually saying that the election did not follow the democratic process. Now, looking back at previous elections, would you also agree with what the European Union have said, and also looking at other elections in other parts of the country? I don't think there's ever been any election that has gone down without being contested.
Basically, because the fact is, one out of many is EU's observation that we've had over time. And along if you check out the history of Nigeria, you would have seen rate of electoral malpractice and violence trickle down the history of Nigeria's election. And as such, grey areas and red areas were marked out that this is the possible place where you will see such occurring. This is where you see such occurring. And the INEC did well in painting that picture. Now, after painting that picture, one thing they failed to do was secure those grey areas. That is the loophole. And on the part of giving us a credible election, INEC made one promise that the beavers was going to be used, and results will be transferred in real time. That promise they broke. They did not fulfill. Just that part. Just that part. Now, the question is, on what part of the election is the EU commenting about? Is it the presidency or the state government election?
Yeah, according to reports, their report is based on the presidential election.
Then what happened to the gubernatorial election? Did you see the election go well? Because as far as I'm concerned, this election was duly contested for. Now, even on the IREV now, after the election has been completed and the whole process has been, a winner has been returned, we saw data from the IREV and we saw data from fellow Nigerians pushing for their data. This is what we saw. And when those data were analyzed, they were brought at part, juxtaposed and they had to look if there were loopholes in those data. They saw that data of Nigerians were matching that of the IREV. And he pointed out that the election was duly contested for. That even you had the likes of LP, who is an underdog, coming third as against several political parties who have been here. The ADC. The ADC has been here and they had more coverage than the LP. The LP came third. Now the only contest here is to whom the seat is given to. That is basically the contest. Whether you like it or not, that is the contest. Now the question is,
so you're trying to say that
on whose side the EU is standing.
Okay, so what you're trying to say right now is that the problem right now, the uproar, is because the seat has been given to an individual, not even the party.
Basically.
Okay, so now it's the individual that is a bone of contention.
Basically.
And now you're also saying on the side, if I'm getting you right, that the EU seem to be partisan here.
Basically. Because with the whole thing put forward, you are not bringing data to support this is what we saw in which part. Release all these things at once.
Well, the presidency have called for them to provide their basis for that result.
Basically.
Because they said they didn't have enough men to go round, and most of their judgments was based on rumors and what people were saying, the hearsays. That's where they got most of their, their facts from. Not like they actually got substantial evidences, and they actually requested that they put it forward. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, beautiful morning to you, Alhassan and Mr. Francis. Good morning.
Good morning, SMD.
You're welcome to the press.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alhassan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me quickly respond to the issue of this EU report or this or that. You see, sometimes I ask myself, are we for real? Why are we going to wait until international community come and dictate to us what we need to do in our country? After when we have, I don't have the document, how I wish I know this issue will come out. I will bring out the document of both foreign and domestic observers in 2023 election. And then if EU will come out with this, it means there is something fishy, which I am calling on our Nigerian leaders to watch out and then be very, very much careful on doing what they want to do. Of course, really, we know there are wrongs doing here and there, but that does not disqualify our election, which almost all Nigerians come out all out and did what they want to do. For now, EU come out with this. To me, honestly speaking, it's something entirely different, which to me they are trying to drive the attention of our leaders for the right thing for them to do. So the issue is already in the court. The Labour Party is on the court. The PDP on the court. Why EU will come out with this to complicate easy matters to our nation? To me, I don't quite agree with their position. I'm not a partisan, I'm not a card-carrying member of any political party, but my country is far bigger than any political party. And anything that's going to truncate the peace of this country is not welcome, and we are not going to accommodate that. Therefore, EU and their allies, let them go and do their EU for their EU side. Let them leave our African nation, let them leave our Nigeria, let them not dictate what we're going to do to our nation. I beg them in the name of God. We need our country. We love our country. Let them go with their investigation, record, report, whatsoever. We don't need it. We don't need it. We need the peace in this our nation. We love our country, and let them do the needful. Thank you very much. I remain a problem.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Would you like to comment on that?
This is one of the outro of Nigerians as to how international bodies dictate on how Nigerian politics should be. Now, this should not be the normal. This is an anomaly that should not be taken further, because these guys are doing more harm than good, whether you like it or not. Because it is, you will understand that today at the tribunal.
Sorry, you just said these guys are doing more harm
Than good, yes.
Who are you talking about?
The EU.
The European
The
Union.
European Union.
Yes, you understand that today at the tribunal, a very, very concrete decision will be made today.
Yes,
And why are you
absolutely.
issuing that on at the brink of this, the entire thing playing out? Are you trying to complicate matters, or are you trying to spite a party against another? Because, as he said, the case is at the tribunal already. Now, if the case is not, if the parties are not fulfilled by the outcome of the tribunal, they head where? To the Supreme Court.
To the Supreme Court.
Basically, we have bodies that are responsible for these decision makings. We have bodies that God has said that this is what you'll be doing. This is what you should do. Now, you as a person who is not a citizen of Nigeria, who sent little or a handful of observers to Nigeria to observe the entire political process, coming out to claim that this is what you feel it is. No, we have African observers too. GEJ, let's on.
Yes.
The president of Kenya, let's on.
Let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
You're welcome to the press. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Fortune Arola. I'm calling from Okainondo State.
All right, please join the conversation.
All right. I think, please, I don't see anything bad in the report that EU has presented. After all, we invite them here to provide the election, and after supervision, you expect that they will
The
bring
summit report.
back a report, and that is what they have brought to Nigeria. And again, what I want to say is INEC got it off law, and nobody should even compare this election with past elections. Going by the amount and and whatever that was deployed in order to make it to improve in our electoral system. So that is number one, unlike other elections. So what INEC did is a betrayal of trust that Nigeria has them. And as I'm telling you now, many people are throwing their PVC into the toilet because many people do not believe in INEC anymore. So whatever European Union is doing today is because INEC themselves failed in their own responsibility. You made a law and then you go against that law and you expect any sane human being. I did not vote in that election because I know that INEC will not even give Nigerians the mandate of who they voted for. I knew right from the beginning, but I collected my voter's card just to, so that it would be useful for me, maybe in opening bank accounts or in other something like that. But what INEC did is a betrayal of trust. You can't make a law and then at the middle of the game you shift the goalpost. So the emphasis is not about irregularity or harassment of people in some region as per se. The emphasis is about not transmitting the result, and this made it look somehow fishy. So that is what is playing around. And for the person that come from Lagos, SMG, that is saying that
I want you to comment on his
Nigeria is not a sovereign country. We go there to beg for loans, and we go there to beg for assistance, and we call ourselves sovereign country.
Thank you very much. Let's take another call.
Then our leaders should learn to restrain themselves, not going there for treatment.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Francis. And Alhassan.
Good morning to you.
You're welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. How is your day today?
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Permit me to comment on 3 items within the 60 minutes we are talking about.
Great.
Okay. Quickly, let me remind the last speaker. We are sovereign country. Only that we are the ones subjecting ourselves not to be sovereign. Okay? That is that, whether economical or political. That's that. Then, first and foremost, the issue of EU comments. Well, they are observers. They've made their comments, but they themselves, they cannot exonerate themselves from
elections. We have seen how they behave. We've seen how riots is going on even in Europe, in France. So nobody should come and give us a fake picture here. We, Nigeria, we should know how to handle ourselves. That is why I go with your analyst there, okay? Until when we know how to go about with ourselves, then we will push ahead. That is that. Then let me quickly go into the next topic, sorry please, because I'm eager to talk about that Jamb result. I read a particular news, whether true or false, but I want to believe it's true, that the person in question, that is the Ejikeme Soma, actually faked the result. Because the 2022 UTME clean sheet for result, okay, is the one that she used, because that's a software that they use, okay? So she pasted that result, not knowing that the Jamb had changed the answer sheet, to understand. From there, that is when they detected, because even the Anambra government, that that want to give her 3 million, they had to contact Jamb to confirm the validity of that result, and that is where it got to know. So many things like this is going on in Nigeria. We should not rush into criticizing Jamb. Myself, I'm very inquisitive to know the outcome of the result. So many things is happening in this country. In terms of even importation, some of our importers, they fake invoice in order to pay less tax. You understand? If government can look into this, so many fake things are going. Then lastly, what I want to make a comment on is about the policies of the Mr. President. Not in support of Mr. President. I know the policy he has taken are very harsh. Myself, I'm affected, but these are the right, and there's no any other thing, especially the issue of harmonizing the forex and the removal of subsidy. These are vital things. There's nothing one can do. The last thing I want to say here is that the opposition, when they want to take offense, they should help us. Second, they should help us. Instead of saying that masses are suffering alone, they should add it by they have Labour Party PDP members in the National Assembly. They should force their members to make sure that the cost of governance is cut down, especially the payment of the National Assembly members should be cut down. When we see them doing that at the National Assembly, they are dragging it. We will love them. We will know that they really have our interests at heart. You understand? Even to the president to cut their cost of governance. But if only for them to criticize, they are only for themselves, not for the mass. They must show it by example.
Thank you so much. You've exceeded your 60 seconds. Thank you so much. Thank you for your call. He said a lot already, but before, let's just quickly talk about, because our time is fast spent, let's quickly talk about what's happening with the Jamb result. You know, when I saw that these students, there's a fake result being paraded, I was wondering, where are we headed? And how can Jamb results be, you know, compromised? And
just according to what the examination body said, they said even there's another case in Kaduna from Atung Gerald, who never sat for the exam.
But also came out with
a result of to have claimed to have scored 380. And according to Jamb here, they said there are a lot of candidates out there now who are parading various results, and those results are fake. What's your take on
sorry,
this?
Before you, is it not so unfortunate to know that at secondary school level, like just the high school, you've not even gotten into the higher institution yet, you can now fake results to deceive the entire nation, to deceive your state, because you want to get the scholarship. Beyond the scholarship, I think there's still some stipends that are given to them. You want to get the reward from the state, and then you end up deceiving the nation. How porous has our system become?
This is the height of moral decadence one can experience in the current society as Nigeria. Nigeria, who has been holding moral ethics with its firm fist now, are beginning to let go of their grip of these things. And this is basically, the ripple effect is the bad leaders we are having in this country. Because that young lady will grow up with a super result amongst her peers, parade herself as the goddess of Jamb, and come out tomorrow to contest one election, fake election result to get there to the top and execute nonsense. Because this is their character. Now, it shows you how bad and how the world is eating deep into the Nigerian system. Even as little as a child, as a baby, the ideology of cheating, that cheating mentality, is being embedded by the parents. You hear words like grow up and eat government's money. Are you a thief?
They tell you to work smart.
You know, I was even looking. I was reading. I was on the internet some time ago, and they were doing during the naming ceremony of a baby. The religious leader that was praying for the baby said part of the items they used in. They brought out a biro. They said this is a biro. By the grace of God, you will use this biro to pack a lot of money. And I was like, wow. This
do they use
do you know the ridiculous thing about this entire thing is that the girl in question now was schooled in a faith-based school, the Deeper Life High School.
Oh my God!
Now it shows you how the world is eating into the people who we are supposed to hold in high esteem are now using their altars for campaign. This is what it can show you. This is why it boils down. Now, God's so kind to us and God's so merciful to us that He will not wipe Nigeria in just one swing because it is getting bad. Daily.
You wouldn't just put it on Nigeria. I think it's everywhere.
We are talking about Nigeria now. The case study is Nigeria. The educational system in Nigeria.
The educational
Do you know that?
Nigeria.
Do you know that you cannot try this in the United States and go scot-free? Now, whenever you are taking an exam, you are taking it with your whole heart. You fail, you fail. You pass, you pass. You fail, you come back to write it. But Nigerians, the Nigerian parents sees examination as a do-or-die affair. That
is a test of knowledge.
Basically, they see that if the child fails, that is the end of the world. Now, all hell are being let loose against that child. That is it. That is how the system is. We need to go back.
Okay, then, and as we'll be rounding off the program now because our time is fast spent. In 2 minutes, I would like you to respond to an issue I saw on the internet a few days ago, and a tweet in response to reactions to the ongoing protest in France right now, where the Charlie Boy tweeted and said, look at how about 9% of the population in France, they shut down a whole city, and this is, he said, I hope the agile Nigerian youths are watching and about to do the needful, and he got a lot of backlash from it, like that statement is quite insightful. And what do you make? Do you think, coming from a man of his influence, do you think that do you see that statement as insightful? In 2 minutes, because our time is fast spent.
I think Nigerians should quit the art of rabble rousing. That's charging a gang of people, like-minded people, to cause anarchy in a given situation. The thing is, there is no essence of protesting now, because what are you protesting for in Nigeria? That statement is rather insightful, and he should refrain from making such statements. As someone of his caliber and of his momentum, he should refrain from that. Charlie Boy should be perceived as an elder statesman. Basically, he should quit all those.
That would depend on what he personally wants, right?
He's partisan. That is why he's making that comment. That comment is a strictly partisan comment. So we should just say things as they are. He should refrain from such, because if not, Nigeria, the state is coming for him.
All right, thank you very much, Joshua Imarayi. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, viewers, that's all we'll draw the curtain on the show for today. We'll see you again tomorrow. I am Olamide Alhassan.
And I am Francis Adeniyi. Have a nice day.